Today's episode is brought to you by Destiny's Accessories, located inside of A.V. Lopez at 3831 Boca Chica Boulevard in Brownsville. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 4. Destiny Accessories has all the phone and tablet accessories you need, including chargers, screen protectors, wallets, clips, holsters, pop sockets, cases, and much more.
Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Paranormal 956. My name is Bianca, and I'm here with David.
Hello.
So, is it past Father's Day? When is Father's Day?
I'm going to be honest with you.
I kind of celebrated it, but I don't even remember at this point. I know I got two baby daddies, but I'm not celebrating them, let me tell you that.
June 16th.
Okay, so it's almost going to be Father's Day. This is going to be released on the 14th, so.
Okay, so our Father's Day episode.
Our Father's Day episode. Do you have a favorite dad, David?
So.
Do you want to give a shout out to your favorite dad?
I'm going to say this. I think one of the things that we get along with is we have a complicated relationship with our fathers.
Right.
But.
Speak for yourself.
But. My stepdad has been amazing. So, happy Father's Day to Johnny Martinez.
Oh, the one with the ram?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Yeah, so he is my stepdad. That man has been there for me.
Owns a ram.
And owns a ram, a Dodge Ram. Bianca's a big fan of rams.
Big fan.
And so they have bonded because they both have rams.
Right.
And so, but yes, happy Father's Day to Johnny.
He's my ram dad.
He's a cool guy.
He's a cool guy.
And so, can't say that much for my own father, my biological father, but Johnny.
That's for another story.
This is for Johnny. Happy Father's Day, Johnny.
Big shout out for Johnny. I mean, big shout out for my dad too, right? I mean, he's been in and out, but yeah, big shout out for him.
Your dad's a cool guy.
He's a cool guy.
He's a cool guy.
Jokes, but he's a cool guy.
Hey, anybody who drinks is good with me.
Right. Anyways, so today, let me tell you about a case. I don't know if you heard about it. Chris Watts.
Oh, you told me about a Netflix series.
Did you see it?
I did see it, yes.
Okay.
I watch everything you tell me to watch.
Right, I don't.
Not true.
I don't.
Neither way. We send each other the same videos because we don't watch them.
So let me tell you. Yes. Chris Watts had. Let me, past tense.
Mm-hmm.
A wife, a pregnant wife, and two daughters.
Okay.
Cece and Bella.
Nice.
Wife Shannon. Let me make it clear. It's not Shannon. Shanann.
So, from what I understood, her family called her Shannon.
Yeah.
But it's spelled Shanann. And so the whole world called her Shanann.
Yeah.
It looks a little bit like a misspelling, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm. So, online, on Facebook, whatever you want to call it, they looked like a happy family, normal family.
Yeah.
You know, around the house, they did cooking videos, holidays.
Yeah. All American
social
family.
Events and all that, you know. So let's move forward to, I mean, I don't really want to go to the background of her history, how she met Chris, or you want me to go through it?
Doesn't matter to me.
I mean, she was sick. She got her own house. She met Chris basically at her lowest,
right.
How she would call it.
And she had gotten in a car accident.
Yeah, she had gotten in a car accident. She had lupus.
Yeah, she found out she had lupus.
And like all this stuff was not going her way in health-wise.
Right. She was in a down.
Yeah. So she met Chris around that time. He stuck around by her side going through medical process and all that, right?
Which is a little weird in retrospect.
Right. But he was there, I guess.
Yeah.
She
good on him for that time.
Yeah, so on that time.
Yeah.
So she was like, praises him like he's the best man in the world. Right. He stuck by my side. He didn't care. He was there for me, you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They eventually get married.
Yeah.
Then they start a family. You know, everything's going good. She's working. He's working. They got the 2 daughters. You know, everything's going good. His life is life.
Yeah.
So she goes on a business trip. And she comes back August 13, like 2 in the morning, I believe so.
Right. The flight kept getting delayed.
Yeah.
And she ends up
getting home at 2.
Super late.
Yeah, super late. So she gets home. The next day, well, that morning, she was supposed to have a doctor's appointment because she was pregnant.
Right.
So the day goes by. Her friend that she went on a business trip with, big shout out to her. I mean, she called everything out.
So this is what I will say, just to kind of set the scene a little bit. You know, there's a meme that we talk about a lot with these Karens, right?
Right.
This is a whole story of Karens. And they got shit done.
Yeah, that's the Karen that you need.
These are the good Karens.
Karens, yeah. So
because this friend kicked up a storm because she knew in her gut something was wrong.
Yeah.
From go.
From like that morning.
She was trying to break into the house.
Yeah.
Like legit.
In a way, she had permission from Shannon's mom.
Right.
But they were like, no, we need his consent of the husband, Chris.
So this is something we talked a little bit off the air.
Weird.
So this is what we talked about off air. I saw a different documentary.
Yeah.
She had the code. She used the code.
Yeah.
But the door had a chain on it and she couldn't open it all the way. And so she was on the phone with Chris saying, I think something's wrong. I'm going to break the door down. And he kept saying, no, I'll be there in a little bit. And so that was already, I think in her mind, like another red flag. Because like it fits us, like put ourselves in that situation.
You would tell me like, go in, Bianca. Like,
bust that fucking door down, right?
Yeah.
Or vice versa, right? If I said, hey, I think something's wrong with Brooke in the house.
Yeah.
Knock the door down. Do what the fuck you need to do, right?
Exactly.
And then if the other one's like, I'll be there in 5 minutes. That's weird.
And he's not even working 5 minutes away.
Right.
So that's
another
weird. Okay. So she calls the cops. She's like, hey, I think something's up.
Yeah.
She's not responding. No movement in the house. The girls are not home. Like, not even the girls. I mean, the dog is around and the dog is barking, which would clearly alert someone.
Right. They're not waking up if they're asleep.
And it's like, everything's off. The car is in the house. Her car is in the house.
Right.
Not moved, nothing.
Oh, and there was another thing about her shoes, that her shoes were visible from the doorway.
Yeah, because whenever you like, it's like those rich houses, you would say, that have the glass like right in front of the hallway.
Right. Yeah.
So you can clearly see like if someone's by the door, what they have on that hallway.
Yeah.
You know?
My house isn't like that.
No. We don't like that.
We're not like that.
We're not like that.
If we're going to kill somebody, we don't want anybody to know. Allegedly.
So, we're going to get so much trouble.
Mm-hmm. Back to their story.
So, David is speaking for himself. Other than that, I'm not allowed in his house. So, anyways. So, she calls the cops. She tells them, like, everything's off. Like, it's not making sense, you know, this and that. So, the cop's there. He's like, well, what are you? She's like, oh, I'm her friend. You know, she just told me she had a doctor's appointment. I already called the doctor. They said she didn't show up. So where did she go? She went walking somewhere, but her car is there. Her shoes, her car is there. Everything's.
They find her phone.
Wait.
Oh.
So Chris gets there.
Oh.
He opens the door, right? He's like, yeah, come in. And the cop is like, okay, yeah. So they find the phone. Chris just keeps saying the girls are not here and the blankets are gone. They don't go nowhere without their blankets. Right?
Right.
So it's like, you don't notice anything else but the blankets? And like, is there any clothes gone? Any other shoes? Anything that's missing? He's like, no, just the blankets. That's all he kind of remembers.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So it's like Shannon stuff, like what's, like it's her ring. And then he starts getting nervous. He's like, fuck the ring, like they found, he's like, was there any notes in the house,
Right.
any notes with the ring or something that he...
Which would make sense, right? If you're breaking up with somebody
You
and
would
you're
leave a
leaving the ring
with the note or something.
You would take your shoes and your car.
Right.
And you would go with a note. Or tell somebody. Like if it was...
Or her parents.
Right. I mean, if me and my wife got in a fight and I'm leaving her.
Yeah.
And you call me. Right?
Yeah.
I don't have anything against you. Why won't I answer your phone? Right?
True.
So her friend's calling her and she's like, I'm going to make her worry.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense.
No. So whenever they get there, they see the phone.
Right.
And they turn it on.
Right. For some reason, it's off.
For some reason, it's off.
Another weird.
It had battery.
Right.
They turn it on and you just keep seeing the messages
bling,
from
bling,
Chris,
bling, bling.
from her friend.
Yeah.
And like, you just see the messages, missed calls. And
yeah,
it's like, why was it off in the first place? But anyways, they leave it on the site.
Yeah.
They find the ring. It's like something's off, but they can't really put it together, right? So they're like, any cameras? Nope.
Right.
No cameras in the house.
The cop's like, let me check the neighbor's house.
Yeah, so it's like, well, let me ask your neighbors. Maybe they do have cameras. Okay. Go to neighbors. Neighbors like, yeah, I have cameras. Come on in.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay. See cameras. And there's like a bit corner that you can see of the house, like in the driveway.
Yeah.
It's not very like, it's not like the whole house is visible, right? It's just like a...
Their garages seem to be next to each other.
Yeah.
And so it's one like, garage looking at the other garage.
Yes. It's not even the full garage. It's like half of the...
Right.
Of Chris.
Yeah.
Garage.
And there's bushes right there. So you can't see all the way to the ground either.
Right. So they see like movement at 4 in the morning, 4 or 5 in the morning, something like that.
Yeah.
Truck.
So she showed up at 2.
Yeah.
And then he's supposed to be at work at 5. But at 4 something, almost 5.
You see the truck backing up.
Backs up into the garage.
So it's like weird. And he tells the cops, it's because I have to load up the truck. I have tools. I have this. I have that.
Yeah.
And then the neighbor doesn't say anything.
Right.
He's just listening, replaying the video. Keep in mind, while they play the video, it goes into commercials. It's commercials, right?
I think he's changing the inputs and it goes to a TV show or something.
Something like that. So on the TV, it's like so off. So on the TV, you just see like a pregnancy
like a
commercial.
Fetus,
it's just a fetus in the womb. Yeah. Like a cartoonish 3D type of thing.
Yeah.
And then he looks at the cop. He's like, and she's pregnant.
Yeah. It reminded him.
It reminded him like right away that she's pregnant. And the cop is like, okay, nice detail to add on, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Like write it down. She's pregnant.
Uh-huh.
It's like, how far away is she? Like, how far away in the pregnancy is she pregnant? Like, how is it? And he's like, she's like 15 weeks, something like that. It's okay. Like, add it up to whatever.
But the scene changes.
Yeah. So he starts pacing and the hands over his head, nervous.
But the screen changes too.
Right.
From
the screen
the baby.
changes from the baby to a skull pulled out of the oil. Or like black liquid.
Yeah,
Let's call it like that.
It looks weird.
It looks weird. So he's just like looking over the house, like avoiding eye contact. He's like pacing, and the cop is like, "Whoa, thank you, right? Thank you, neighbor. We'll just go outside for a bit, this and this and that. I'll get more of information. I'll see what we can do. We'll get more information of what she looked like, what she was wearing, or anything like that, right?"
Yeah.
And the cop makes Chris comfortable in leaving the neighbor's house. He's like, yeah, you can go ahead and step outside. I'm just going to get his details, in case we need to contact him or, take custody of the video or something like that.
Right.
But right now it's just nothing basically in the video.
Right.
So Chris was like, okay. So he walks out, right? Chris, like nothing. He doesn't overthink it, I guess. And then as soon as Chris closes the door, the neighbor says, he's way off. He's weird. He's acting.
Well, and also he almost runs out of the house.
Yeah. So he's like pacing all over the place. He's never like that. He's like usually like
super calm,
super chill. Like,
yeah,
he was avoiding everything and anything at all costs, basically.
Yeah.
He was overwhelmed just by looking at that video.
So,
and he was like, he never loads up the truck.
Right. And also in that scene, so this documentary, one of the things I really thought was cool about it is they only use the cop cam footage.
Yeah.
News
so we
footage.
know it's like legit.
It's news footage, their cop cam footage, and stuff they got from their Facebooks.
Right.
Makes the whole movie. So there's no actors, there's no commentary.
No acting,
there's no
add-ons,
nothing. It's just them. And so
there's also a video in the house of the cop, right? And they're like asking him questions about the girls and stuff like that. Like if he remembers anything that happened, you know, if there was a fight or anything like that may have caused her to leave.
Right.
Like this. Yeah. Storming out without noticing, like making no one aware of her whereabouts and missing a doctor's appointment and all that, right? So they're going through like this whole conversation of trying to figure what's going on.
Yeah.
With the friend, Chris, everybody in the house. And you just see like at the corner of the girls' room, there's like a mirror type of thing. And then by the edge of the door, you just see like a dress, a little girl's dress, just like flipping.
Yeah.
It's like a little slight sight of a girl playing, like, or churling around. Like
it almost looked
I'm
like
getting
somebody
chills.
Yeah, it's crazy. Weird. It looked almost like a little girl almost trying to peek too.
Right.
Like it just came out just a little bit from the door.
Right. So there's no way Netflix was going to edit that. There's no way. It's the same video on YouTube, the same video on Netflix, the same from a body cam.
That they would add it, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's
or
no
edit
way.
it in any way.
Yeah.
That was a body cam.
When I first saw it, this is the way it looked.
It's crazy.
This is the way it looked to me. Is if you... So there's a TV show that I'm watching with my wife called Jessica Jones.
Okay.
And it's because it's in the Marvel universe. And we're going through all the TV shows and movies in order this time, right? Because we've seen almost all of them. But we never watched Jessica Jones. And so this particular TV show is irritating the shit out of me. Because sometimes you see the cameraman like... hiding in the shadow, and he's got the full camera and the earphones, and
you see the whole thing.
Yeah, you see him standing there, right? And I think because I'm not just a fan, like I make videos,
right?
So I have
come on,
I have a different eye of things,
right?
Because we were watching this particular episode that I'm talking about, and I'm watching, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? Right?
Right.
And Angie's like, what?
A shadow or...
No, it's a guy standing there. Right?
It's not a ghost.
It's not a ghost. It's a guy with a camera. And he's got his earphones on and a microphone, and he's got this huge fucking camera, and he's in the shadow.
And everything.
And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And so there's a lot of things going on in the story. And Angie thought she missed something in the story.
You're like, no.
And she's like, what happened? And I go, the fucking guy's standing right there with the fucking camera. Like, this is the worst movie ever, right? Or TV show. And she's like, no. And I rewound it.
Rewind it.
And she sees...
Who's drunk? Who's drunk?
And I'm standing literally by the TV pointing like, he's right here, watch. And she's like, oh my God, I can't believe they left it. And so my first thought, when I saw the video, I was like, oh, one of the Netflix sound people's back there, right? And then I was like,
no.
Wait a minute.
It's a little girl.
This is... Well, that's what it looked like to me, though. Like somebody was messing around with the sound and they popped out just a little bit.
But also, it wasn't Netflix recording. Right.
And so that's what... Later, I was like, oh, wait. That wasn't a Netflix... Like, it's not a movie like that.
It's not produced. It's a cop's body cam. Yeah.
Right? And so there's not supposed to be anybody in this house, you know.
Besides Chris, the friend, and her son, I think it is.
Yeah. And so it's
something
just,
like that.
and they're
the
all
cop.
standing right there.
Yeah, they're adults. It's not like a midget.
Right. Yeah. It was very weird.
Very weird.
And so the thing I follow behavior like a lot. So one of the things that during my mental health journey, right, I found out that I'm very sensitive to people's behavior.
Okay.
And so like I can get a good read on people very quickly.
Right.
And so one of my strategies in life is that a lot of people will work on their weaknesses.
Right.
Like part of the reason we met and the reason I went to school for automotive is I didn't know anything about cars and so Angie was like, "What do you want to go to school? What is there something you've always wanted to learn about?" And I was like, "I don't know anything about cars." When we started school, I had not even changed oil before. Nothing. Okay. And so some people do that where they're like, they have a weakness, I work on that. I actually do the other way. I'm strong with human behavior. I study human behavior more.
Why you're not a counselor or some shit like that?
I'm not, but it works very well for me because I can tell when people are lying. A lot of stuff like that. And so there is a saying in body language that when people are telling the truth, they tell the story. When people are lying, they sell the story.
Okay.
And
yeah, that's true. That's true.
And so in this particular interview, when he's talking about him,
that's what I used to do for sales.
He starts talking about somebody tried to break into his garage using a screwdriver. He starts talking about all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if I ask you, like, right now, were you in China on Tuesday? No, you weren't. You just tell you the truth. You just tell people the truth. But were you over here where you weren't supposed to be? Well, that was a hard day.
Well, Sunday I was at my mom's. Right. And then I went over
that day
Monday.
Is the day I had a headache.
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling myself.
Yeah.
And so that's what he was doing. If you pay attention, like he's talking about a bunch of stuff. And another thing is while they're watching the video, I thought first when I saw him, he's looking at his phone.
Oh, yeah.
He's not looking at the video.
No.
And so at first I was like, well, he must have a smaller screen. He's looking at the video on his phone.
No.
And then I was like, wait a minute, this is the neighbor's video.
It is.
And so he already knew it was on the video. So he doesn't need to look at the video. He's looking at his phone. And the thing that, we have our little inside joke that we talk about dumb criminals, right?
Right.
We have our dumb criminal moment in this situation.
Basically.
He kills his kids and he tells the school he's taking them out.
He's
right after.
Yeah. That same day. That morning.
Doesn't make any sense.
That morning, he's taking them out. He already called the realtor. Like, hey, I'm going to sell the house.
He's going to sell the house the same day, too.
He's already going to sell the house.
It's like, dude, have a little bit of patience.
That's why it didn't take that long. From August 13 that it happened, he was arrested August 15.
2 days.
2 days later.
So he called the school to tell them that he was pulling his kids out of school.
Yeah.
And then, like, later in the day, called to see if they'd seen him.
Right.
Have you seen my kids?
I know I took them out, but...
Stupid, man. This guy is so dumb.
So I think what really put him into perspective that something was going on, also when, like, the interview was happening and all that stuff, he felt the polygraph?
Polygraph, yeah.
He felt it. They tell him, like, hey, like, it's just come clean. We already know you're lying. He's like, no, like, I'm telling the truth.
So this lady, that polygraph was genius. The way she set him up.
Yeah, she
was genius because she starts by saying,
really did.
The cool thing about the polygraph is one of us knows the truth. And by the end of this, we'll both know the truth. That immediately set him up.
Yeah.
And then she goes through the second thing.
She really pushed him to the edge.
Because then she says, what we're going to do is I'm going to have you lie for real so that we both know so I can see what it looks like.
Yeah.
And then she goes, oh, has anybody ever told you you're a terrible liar? I could see it all over your face. This is going to be super easy.
Yeah.
It's like fucking shit. Like
fucking bitch. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like she set him up so bad because she was like, oh, it's so easy to tell. Like, you're so dramatic when you lie. And then, like, he started, did you see, is it part of the video that we watched? Or did I see it somewhere else where he does the polygraph?
No. I didn't see the one part.
He's all freaking out the whole time. And she's like, I need you to calm down. I need you to calm down. And he's like, I can't breathe and all this stuff. And so she was getting in his head super bad. He did so bad, they did it twice.
So they go back into the interview room and they tell him, like, come clean. And he's like, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
He's like, well, she did it. She killed our daughters.
Yeah.
And I killed her out of rage.
Right.
And they're like, no.
So this is the thing, right?
So the fact that he tried putting the blame on her for killing the daughters is
that's pretty shitty. I mean, that's pretty bad. But this is the thing. He, in that story, said that she had already killed one and was killing the second one when he saw her, like, on the video or something like that. He said he caught her killing the second one. And then that's when he killed her. But this is the thing. If you found your kids dead and you knew that your wife had just done it, there's an ambulance you can call.
Right.
That didn't happen.
Nope.
And so it seems like, even if that was, I get killing the wife, but I mean, you got to call 911 first. Right? Like, she kills your kids, like,
right.
You're going to stop her. I get it. I get that. But,
yeah.
But,
same.
with the whole thing with your kids being dead or dying,
right?
There's a time limit on this. Like, priorities, man. You got to save your kids.
Yeah.
Right. And so that seemed like a major hold to me too, because he's like, yeah, she killed him. And then, so I killed her. Wait. Well, there's got to be an ambulance called somewhere.
Also, it's like, he didn't have any scratching or wounds on him of her. If she was awake,
right,
killing her daughters, and he tried stopping her, I would think she was like, hey, don't kill me, bitch.
Right. So that's something that I didn't feel like this documentary even went through.
No.
This is what I learned on a different documentary. So do you remember them saying...
How many documentaries did you watch?
I watched a couple of them.
Okay.
But do you remember them saying that they had gone on a trip and she got really sick?
Yeah.
Do you know why she was sick? Because they didn't go through it on the Netflix documentary.
No.
He gave her oxycodone for a headache to try to get her to miscarry. And it got her super sick. Right? So having known that, and oxycodone,
right,
he probably drugged her because he didn't have any scratches on him.
Nothing.
And so if your example was him trying to stop from killing the daughter.
Yeah, let's say like they got in a fight.
Right. He didn't have any scratches on him.
Not even a punch, even no bruise, nothing.
And so the way he tells the story is when he went to choke her, she never fought back. That makes zero sense.
No.
Zero
like,
sense.
if someone's choking me, regardless of who you are, I'm punching. I'm punching. I'm fucking fighting for my life.
He made it sound like she was like, I deserved it. Go ahead and choke me. It makes no sense.
No. Like, put me to sleep.
Yeah. Like,
no.
That doesn't make any sense.
Like, anyone you choke is going to get to a point like, hey, stop.
But even without, there's no situation, even if, like, we're just fooling around wrestling.
Right.
And I put you in a dangerous position and you panic because you feel like...
That's what I'm saying.
I'm going to die.
You're going to do something.
Scratching, bruising, punching, kicking. Made zero sense. But the documentary didn't even go into that. But yeah, so he had drugged her before and tried to get her to miscarry.
So once they investigate Chris, let's move on forward because there's more factors to the story.
Yeah, this is just the beginning.
This is the tip of the iceberg. So they investigate Chris. They're like, okay, we found out that you have a mistress, which is Nicole, I believe.
Yeah, so there's two Nicoles. Her best friend's a Nicole, and then this one they call Nikki is his mistress.
Nikki's the mistress, yeah.
Yeah.
So they had been going on trips. They were hanging out. They were having dinners, stuff like the dates.
Yeah. And
we don't know how or what the conversation was like
Right.
between them.
Yeah.
That I believe
Yeah.
it pushed Chris to making a decision of it's Nikki over my family.
Yeah.
But he clearly wanted to erase his past ASAP.
That's the thing that doesn't really... So in this other documentary, they interview the girlfriend.
Right.
And they ask her, did you know he was married?
And she's like, no.
And she says, I was told they were separated.
They were separated and they were going to get a divorce. That's why she left Chris and she went over to her family's.
Right.
That was Chris's excuse.
And she was there for a long time, like 5 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So the girlfriend, the mistress, thought it was really happening, that they were going to get a divorce.
Right. And so in the interview
she didn't think that
saw,
he was going to be a widow.
So in the interview that I saw, they asked her, did you know that he had kids? And she starts to laugh. And they go, and she goes, yeah. And she laughs. And he goes, am I sensing some sarcasm there? And then she goes, no, it's cute. Like real, just a weird.
Like, what would you laugh? Like,
first the laugh was weird. And then when he said, are you being sarcastic? Like he didn't know, because he's asking her a serious question. Did you know he had kids when y'all were, doing your thing? And she laughed.
Like, haha.
Yeah. And then he goes,
did you know?
is that sarcasm? Like, and she goes, yeah, I thought it's cute. But it was like, and so there's this thing, back to behavior,
right,
called an affect, right? And so like,
so it's like a defensive.
So an affect is how do you react, right? And so like if somebody came up to you and said somebody that you care about is hurt, and you're like, oh no, right? That's your affect, right?
Right.
And so sometimes you can have the wrong affect. And so like if somebody says, like in this case, these dead kids and everybody knows they're dead already, right?
Right.
Did you know he had kids? And you laugh. It's like laughing at a funeral, like it's just weird. Like why I know people who do that. Like I remember, I'm not going to say his name, but this person that I met, his grandmother died. And I said, hey, I heard your grandmother died. And he laughed and he goes, yeah. And it was like, what? But that particular person, they're very uncomfortable with like emotional stuff. And so it's like a nervous laugh, but it comes across super weird.
Okay, so here comes to a TikTok that I saw.
Okay.
Where they show the video of him loading up the truck, going back to the neighbor's footage.
Mm-hmm.
They claim, people claim, not they, people claim in TikTok that they see another person in the video. Like it's Chris and they see another adult in the video. But also Chris claims he just threw Shannon in the truck and he put in the girls were still alive when he took them on the 45-minute trip.
Yeah.
To the oil thingies.
So I've watched that video and I've seen little strips of it. I didn't see another person, but I did see him putting in like a little girl's backpack.
Right.
I did see that, like a pink backpack.
So it's...
Or maybe it was the blanket. Maybe it was
because he kept mentioning the blankets.
Yeah.
Regardless. Like that's something stuck in his memory is like the blankets.
Right.
But also he wrapped them around.
Yeah.
The blankets. Did he?
He smothered them with the blanket. Yeah, he
smothered them with the blanket. So it's like the blankets like really stuck with him.
So another thing that I saw in the second documentary is that he choked the daughters first, but he didn't kill them. He basically made them go unconscious. He thought he had killed them. And then that's when he killed the wife. And when he killed the wife, the girls basically woke up and went into the room and saw them. And she's like laying face down on the bed. And so one of the things that they didn't talk about in the Netflix documentary, but is talked about in this other one, is that he met an author. They kind of bring her up very shortly, I think, in the Netflix. He starts writing letters to this author, and she writes a book on all his letters. And so this is one of the things he talks about.
book that I told you that Chris did, that he talks about seeing his daughter, I think Cece, in the cell? Is it the same book?
Maybe. I don't think there's a lot of books. So it probably is the same.
One. Yeah.
And so he talked about that he had choked him unconscious, and then he thought he had killed him, but he didn't. And then they came in and walked in on him. And he talks about being upset that they're there and he has to kill them, quote unquote, again. And so he...
What?
Yeah. And so...
So it's like, shit.
In this book, he's real cold-blooded in this book. And so he talks about loading up the wife's body into the car and then getting the girls to get into the car. And they're saying that they need their car seats. And he's like, we'll be fine this one time. And he drives them out to the oil fields.
Right.
And they're like falling asleep in the back seat on top of each other. And then he talks about how he went through all of that. And it's just so... It doesn't make sense to me.
That's what I'm saying. You drove with your kids 45 minutes and you didn't think like, let me spare them.
It doesn't.
Let me just get rid of the wife.
I mean, I've been divorced, so I don't understand the killing of the wife. Like, you can get divorced. Right. You know what I mean?
It works out.
Like, I'm fine.
It's not that bad.
Yeah. I don't even know where she's at. You know?
Each their own.
So I don't get the whole, well, got to kill him. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
And so even with I mean, cheating, I guess, makes more sense, but
still,
the
it's a whole stretch.
Other part is like...
Well, anyways, they kind of figured out that it was him.
Yeah.
He tried selling the house. He already called the school.
So stupid.
Then, like, any other detail, like you mentioned to me on the chat, you're like, no, like, do you know how big your daughter is? How much she weighs? Right. I'm like, I have no fucking idea. That
doesn't make any sense either, because they asked him, like, well, how tall is your daughter? And he's like, well, she's 42 inches and this many pounds. Yeah. And your other daughter, she's 37 inches and this many pounds. It's like, who the fuck knows those details?
No. Like, no.
It's just weird. Because if you ask me, I mean, I don't have kids. I can barely have dogs, I guess.
Well, how much does Lego weigh?
So with her, I remember from the last doctor's visit.
Which was how long ago?
Like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
She's 86 pounds.
Okay.
Which is
recently from 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And so, but like, I don't know how tall my wife is. I don't know how tall you are. I don't know how tall.
You don't keep track.
I don't keep track of those things. You know what I mean? And I mean...
Yeah, if we go missing, even though we know each other that much...
Right.
No idea.
About this tall, right? Using your hand to measure.
Yeah.
Right? How heavy is she? About like this big, using your arms.
Roundish.
Yeah, like 3X? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, she just bought this shirt, so I don't know. Figure it out. Yeah.
Work reverse engineer.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
He had a lot of really strange details. And then, so did we go through what happened with the daughters?
Oh, so he basically went out there to the fields where they have like this big like oil tanks, some shit like that, and he pushed them. He shoved them through this, what is it, 9-inch?
8-inch pipe.
8-inch pipe hole.
So, considering that they were like, what, 4 years old and 3 years old?
And they were about 42 inches tall.
I don't know how they fit in that.
No way.
I don't know how they fit in that. And then this is the other thing. He put them in different tanks.
Yeah.
That's also weird to me.
So you went all the way up to one tank, came all the way down, went to the other tank all the way up.
So what he said was, and this is disturbing, really disturbing to me, is he killed the younger one first.
Right.
And he put her in the tank.
And then the
other daughter watched. And she asked him if he's going to do the same
to her. Yeah.
Thing to her. And so he says he doesn't remember what he told her.
But he basically said yes.
But he killed her. And he said later that she was the only one that fought. And he said he buried the wife in the field. And so the police when they have him there and they're investigating or interrogating him, they're sending drones out there to take pictures because they got GPS on his truck.
Right.
And so they knew where he had been. And so they start taking pictures of drones, and you see the ground where he dug the wife.
Right.
And their sheet. That was the other thing, is when the police went in, they didn't have any sheets on the bed.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Right. And he says, oh, it's because every time she goes on a trip, she washes the sheets.
It's like, no.
Why don't you just take a shower before she goes to bed? Come on. You know what I mean? And so a lot of these things didn't make any sense. And so what was I getting at? Oh, so they have all the pictures and everything like that. And the sheets are out there in the oil field. And it's like, oh, these kind of match those sheets that are supposed to be on your bed. It doesn't make any sense. And so
that's another red flag.
Yeah. This guy was just full of them. Like this guy was like
he wasn't trying to get caught, but he was trying to get caught.
Man, he couldn't have done a better job of getting caught if he tried, I don't think. Like he would have had to murder people on live TV to be worse. Because this was pretty bad. The thing that, I mean, this isn't disturbing in the same way as killing your daughter, like I said. But the fact that he gets so much fan mail from women is another really weird.
You think him and Nicole are still a thing?
So they're not. So I know this.
Allegedly.
So she tried.
You already talked to Nicole?
I called her. No, I didn't call her. But so apparently she tried to change her name. They don't know if it went through or not, but she did file an application to change her name. She's no longer in that town. So I don't know if she's still in Colorado or not. I do know that he tried to reach out to her and she didn't want anything to do with him. But there are a lot of women that are sending him fan mail and all of this stuff.
Right.
And so that's another thing that's really hard for me to understand. Because the only thing that I can kind of get in my mind, and I know this because, you know, growing up a Jehovah's Witness, we weren't really allowed to date. And so a lot of people had like girlfriends on the other side of the country.
True.
So that you weren't going to sleep with them accidentally.
It's just like
it's like you're in a relationship, but not really.
Yeah, it's like a companionship type of.
And you know he's not going to cheat because he's stuck in that jail.
Unless he's gay, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
So, yeah.
So anyways, he does get caught.
And they sentenced him to life in prison.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
So happy Father's Day.
Yep. Make better choices, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there's a bit of cowardness in like cheating in general. Because if you were going to do something like that, just get out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
And I don't think you definitely don't have to kill anybody.
And go through all of that trouble for what?
And you know, the thing, when he finished killing everybody and he put the last daughter in the oil tank.
Yeah.
He says this first thought was, did I put the dog in the cage?
Which he didn't.
It's so messed up that like he's so calloused about it too.
So he's like, oh shit, I gotta go back to work. Which actually people actually like that went in for like rescue or whatever, like what was it, the dog sniffing, they did mention like it was super clean, it was super like organized. It was weird.
Yeah. So I think that had to do with the wife though.
Right.
Because she seemed like she was meticulous about things like that. Which
weird from her too.
Yeah. Well,
but yeah.
Good news
That's the
is
video for today, guys.
Everybody has a better dad than this guy.
We hope so.
Yeah. Happy Father's Day, everybody.
Happy Father's Day.
We will see y'all or talk to you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.